Sometimes, BJJ is just easier for some people. These people are just born with natural talent. But nobody knew that a giant would start to fight in the BJJ world.
Fight with Juji tomorrow. Dan is the best guy for me to learn from. One of the youngest guys in the ADCC. If he doesn't win it this year, I think he's the guy to beat Ryan in short order.
The quest for fairness and balance is unfruitful when John Danaher's eyes for raw talent are at work. Just when we thought we had seen enough amazing talent from the New Wave Jiu-Jitsu gym, a 6 foot 7 inches Romanian giant weighing 275 pounds emerges. At the age of 20 and just a blue belt, Dan Manasoiu became one of the youngest heavyweights to compete in ADCC World Championship events. But there is one thing that scares everyone that fights Big Dan. He's just too strong. Even too strong for his weight class, as he has not only broken legs,
On display for... Oh, wow.
but has submitted his opponents by neck crank, suffocating his opponents in the process.
That's just impressive. He's passing his guard like a hot knife through butter.
It was a chest asphyxiation, a chest smother. I stopped his breathing, his nose and mouth, and he tapped to that, so.
As if this wasn't enough, he almost slayed the black belt slayer, Nicky Rod.
Oh, the arms extended. Oh, trying to go through,
God.
trying to...
Oh my God.
Huge trouble.
He's out.
Oh my
He's
goodness.
Is Dan Manasoiu a cheat code in the jiu-jitsu game? Should he still be allowed to compete? To answer these questions, let's go back to the beginning. Discovering a calling. Dan's jiu-jitsu mastery started when he was just 15 years old. At first, it was something he did casually, not taking it too seriously. He would train a few times a week, just for fun. But as time went on, his love for the sport grew stronger. He realized that jiu-jitsu was his true passion, and he wanted to make a living out of it. So, at the age of 17, he made up his mind. He was going to become the best in the world.
Competing in ADCC means the world to me. It's been a dream of mine since I was 17. To do that would just be wonderful, to go out there and show some jiu-jitsu to the world.
He started taking online classes and decided to move from Pennsylvania to New York, where he trained in Renzo Gracie's gym every day. This demanding routine was a sacrifice, but Dan knew it would be worth it. Not until COVID struck. An uneventful time. Dan Manasoiu's body fought against the grips of the relentless COVID-19 virus, unable to compete or even train. Dan found himself confined to a hospital bed, his dreams of victory slipping away with each passing day. The toll on his body was evident as he lost a staggering 20 pounds. His once powerful frame diminished by the illness.
1 year ago, I was in the absolute lowest place of my life. Everything went wrong. I was in the hospital with COVID. I lost more than 30 pounds.
But it wasn't just his weight that suffered. His lungs, ravaged by scar tissue, struggled to supply his body with the oxygen it desperately needed.
My lungs were all messed up from scar tissue.
Just when Dan thought the worst was behind him, fate dealt him another blow. A knee injury struck, forcing him to face the daunting prospect of major surgery. At first, it seemed like a minor setback that would only require 4 weeks of recovery. However, as the surgeons delved deeper into his knee, they discovered a shocking truth. The damage was far more severe than anticipated. The jiu-jitsu giant's knee was completely torn off the bone, demanding extensive repair.
My knee blew up and I needed a surgery for it.
The 4-week recovery period ballooned into an agonizing 6 months.
And when they had the MRI, it didn't tell the whole picture. And you guys know the thing about how I woke up. They told me it was going to be 8 months out instead of 4 weeks out.
Dan's dream of returning to the mat seemed distant and uncertain. However, amidst the darkness, a flicker of hope emerged in the form of stem cell therapy.
They gave me stem cells that got me back quick. The 3 days after my surgery, I was in the gym I refuse to be, all right, if I can't do jiu-jitsu, I'm going to do something else that's going to make me better.
Entering his first jiu-jitsu tournament post-injury, Dan obliterated his opponents one by one with his masterful submissions.
2 months after that, I entered into my first jiu-jitsu tournament and I won all submissions.
But it didn't end there. In his second tournament, Dan continued his victorious streak, submitting each challenger with precision and finesse.
4 months later, I competed in the biggest ADCC trials in history.
Road to ADCC. Although he used just 1 month for preparation and was still a blue belt, the big guy came out second in the ADCC 2022 West Coast Trials.
For West Coast Trials, I only had 1 month of preparation. For 2 months, I couldn't even really walk around or get around on my own.
Taking all the lessons he could gather from his first competition after 2 years, Dan desperately wanted to compete in ADCC competition. And this time, he took no prisoners and not only qualified for the ADCC World Championship, but also submitted his opponents in the European Trials Finals via an arm triangle.
From all that adversity, and to go and take first place in the European Trials just means the world to me, and I'm so thankful.
His valiant performance caught the attention of his renowned coach, John Danaher. Recognizing Dan's potential and impressed by his accomplishments, John Danaher deemed it fit for Dan to move up to purple belt. Since earning his purple belt, Dan has been an unstoppable force in the ADCC Open Heavyweight division, achieving a remarkable record of 18 wins, with 13 of those victories attained through submissions. Across various ADCC Opens, from Mexico to Canada and the US, Dan has showcased his dominance and left his opponents in awe.
Yeah, that guy's terrifying. I'd literally change the absolute rule because of him.
Shout out to John. Thanks for making us do armbar escape drills.
Actually, f you, John. What the f? Look at this guy. Big, strong, and technical.
In April 2023, the ADCC held the first of several ADCC Opens scheduled for the year across North America. During the ADCC Open, Dan faced off against Francis Pena in the plus 100 kilograms division final and didn't hesitate to completely dominate him from start to finish. The Absolute Division final presented Dan with a unique challenge in the form of Javad Mahjoub, an Iranian judo Olympian. Mahjoub showcased his expertise early in the match, executing a powerful takedown and assuming a dominant position. Impressively, he even attempted a deep armbar submission. But once Big Dan secured top position, the tables turned swiftly and he executed a smother choke, claiming gold.
Smother top. So I think Big Dan's doing smart. He's going to be competing.
He is now the #1 in the ADCC Open ranking 2023. UFC Fight Pass Invitation. Riding the wave of his victory, he received a second coveted invitation to the UFC Fight Pass Invitational 4, where the grand prize of $30,000 awaited the champion. The journey began with a bang, as Big Dan unleashed a brilliant display of technique, securing a swift heel hook to claim victory over Gabriel Argas. Undeterred by his initial success, Big Dan set his sights on the semifinals, where he faced off against Fedor Nikolov and executed a flawless submission via knee bar.
Rubber guard here on display for...
Oh, wow. In an intense and heart-pounding match, Big Dan showcased his skills once again. With an impressive display of strength and technique, he nearly broke Nicky Rod's arm, bringing him to the brink of defeat, and he managed to escape the devastating position, denying Big Dan a victory. Despite his eventual submission via a rear naked choke, Big Dan emerged from the fight with his head held high. Big Dan is one of the special breeds of heavyweight jiu-jitsu. He brings not only his strength, but also his technical ability to the mat. With his unbelievable submissions and Danaher's mentorship, Dan has the potential to be one of the best in the world. Will he be the torchbearer of New Wave Jiu-Jitsu after Gordon Ryan, or will they have to compete in the next few years? Please share your thoughts in the comments, like the video, and don't forget to subscribe. We'll see you on the next one.